growing a peritoneal dialysis service sustainably. He is a consultant nephrologist and general internal medicine physician at Clinic Lead Sunderland Renal Unit, a special interest in interventional nephrology, quality improvement, education, and hypertension.
Introduction. Regrettably, I'm not a professor, I'm just a mere humble consultant starting out in career because I'm 2 years in Sunderland in the northeast of England. But it's a real pleasure to be here speaking today. Thank you very much indeed for that invitation, but moreover, thank you so much for a really great time at this done so far. I hope it won't just be my first visit, but one of many. So, I've been given this title of Reinventing the Wheel. I'm just going to start by telling you a little bit about where I work. So, I work in Sunderland, which is an old shipbuilding town from the northeast of England, and that's the whole coast of the northeast of England is all old heavy industry, which is now maybe left. So it's a community which has got relative poverty and relative low educational attainment. There were individuals who benefit from a succession of training in PD catheter insertion. And when I agreed to give this talk, I didn't know I was going to have to give it in front of 2 doyens of peritoneal dialysis and follow such other eminent speakers. But it turns out that I was trained in PD catheter insertion from Dr. Ahmed, and Dr. Ahmed was trained by Professor Brown, and Professor Brown was trained by Professor Finkelstein. So in Sunderland we have around 300 dialysis patients, 275 on in-centre hemo, about 25 on home hemo, but only 18 on PD, and that made no sense when I took over the service. How did that be? If you offer people a binary choice, how is it not that there's about 50-50? If you are able to really describe the benefits of each therapy and give people a free choice. They have to choose, but then you have to be able to deliver that choice as well. But we're reinventing the wheel. 10 years ago, Dr. Ahmed was leading the PD service, and he managed to grow the numbers. But as time went on, the bottom line is now peritoneal dialysis. Our numbers plateaued. But look at hemodialysis, the steady growth. Look at our low clearance clinic where we prepare people for dialysis, steady growth, and indeed very rapid growth recently as we held on to people at lower GFR because we have a better staffed service. So the previous service was one peritoneal dialysis specialist nurse. We had that low clearance clinic, that was an innovation 10 or 15 years ago, and patients stayed in that clinic until they needed to start dialysis. We had PD catheters buried well in advance of them needing to be used with the Popovich technique, and this got away from problems with surgical capacity, so that we didn't have to sit on the heads of our surgeons to get them to insert catheters when we were desperate. And then we also had one-to-one nurse education sessions, and again that was an innovation of the past, but we had problems. Our quality assurance was not up to date, we weren't growing, and we also, looking at the larger service, had a problem because our ward staff had a high turnover rate, we lost senior nurses, and because we had so few PD patients, when they came into hospital they lost their confidence in looking after them. And so sometimes PD patients felt like they were guinea pigs, that their care was being improvised as they went along, rather than that they came into a standardised, well-rehearsed system. So of course to grow a service, you just need to put more people on it than you take off again. But in a home therapy, most international centres will describe about a 50% turnover per year because of losses. Good losses like transplantation, less good losses like death, which might be planned deaths and palliation, or transfer to hemodialysis because of insoluble issues of peritoneal dialysis. So when I took over the service, I really wanted to make sure that every patient who could benefit from PD would have the opportunity to do PD, but that would be an informed decision. And I had this kind of ambition that half of our patients should be dialyzed at home, and that would give me patient numbers of 75 on PD, 75 on home hemo. So how was I going to do this? Well, I think where we went wrong before, every time we grew our numbers, our poor single-handed PD nurse was having to work very, very hard, but then things would go wrong with some of our existing patients. She would focus efforts on our new starters, our long-standing patients, something would go wrong and they would stop PD. And so we need to keep up our number of nurses as we go along. And I think, the ISPD guidelines suggest, 20-25 patients per specialist nurse. I think that's fine when you've got 50 or 75 patients. When you've got less than 20 patients, I think you don't have that economy of scale. You really need 2 pairs of hands because for 6 weeks of the year, that nurse is going to be away. Who's going to look after those patients when they're on holiday or when they're on sick? We also need to provide education, not just to the core PD nurse, the nurse who's going to own that service, but to every nurse that may be involved in that patient's care. So the ward team need to be just as familiar with PD as they would be with hemo, as do consultant colleagues, as do the registrars. And my next step is going to be, I'm going to amalgamate the whole hemodialysis team and the PD team to get that economy of scale. I wanted to build a pro-PD culture with a physical presence in the department. We've had a renal unit for 35 years. It's only been led by 3 consultants in that time, but there's never been a peritoneal dialysis room in the department. So patients come in, they need something done, but we have to improvise a place to take them. So that was a really easy thing to fix. We did that. I reformed pre-dialysis education. We started using PD in acute kidney injury and in crash landing patients. And I said, look, we're going to use this in everyone. We're going to use it in people who've had abdominal surgeries. We'll tell them maybe the PD catheter won't work, but it's worth a go. We're going to use it in people with physical disabilities and learning disabilities, and we're just going to support them through that. We're going to allow everyone to get the benefit of this therapy. But I wanted it not to feel improvised, I wanted it to be standardized. Then I can make one change and reassess the impact of that. So PD is not being falsely sold as a great therapy. It is a great therapy for many reasons, both here but also in the West. It's great for people who need to be at home, who want to travel for work or for leisure, and it's great for those people who've got, that might be young, they're starting on a life of renal replacement therapy. Hopefully they're going to get a transplant. It might take a year to get there. We make them a fistula, and we've used up their real estate, some of their vascular real estate on that fistula. That fistula is then going to shunt around 700 mils a litre, 2 litres a minute of blood around their arm for the next 15, 20, 25 years while they've got a transplant. And probably the thing won't work by the time their transplant fails anyway. So I always think we should tie fistulas off after about a year of a successful transplant outcome, but we still lost that vascular access. Put them on PD instead as a bridge to transplant. Then when that transplant fails, they've got all of their veins left for hemodialysis in the future. Moreover, PD is a well-tolerated treatment. I've got a handful of young women, and it does tend to be young women for some reason who on hemodialysis that don't feel well at all. They've got terrible headaches, they get nausea, they've got all these symptoms of low-grade disequilibrium. And I do everything I can to get them better. They're a little bit better, but when I move them to PD, they feel tons better. They're at home, they're empowered, but also their physical symptoms have improved. And we know that heart failure benefits from PD treatment, and that cognitive impairment accelerates more slowly with PD rather than hemodialysis. Apologise to Professor Brown for quoting her own conclusions back to her. So this is Carol. She was our single-handed PD sister for 25 years, and a really very good nurse. But by the end of her career became, I think, very tired because she'd always been just single-handed. And we'd never put more nurses in to help her. And she would sometimes say, oh, don't give me another patient, I can't deal with it. So, of course, the service couldn't grow. And we didn't do her any service, but with her retirement, it became an opportunity to move things forward further. So I'm going to divide the rest of the talk into recruitment, keeping on track, and minimising the drop-off. I spoke to our nurses who did education, and they said, my job is to give information neutrally. I'm not going to persuade anyone to do PD for you. I'm not going to help you to grow your service. I'm just going to give the information neutrally the patient will decide. But they don't do that, because they say, oh, PD, you've got to be very careful around hygiene. You might get peritonitis. The catheter might not work. You've got to keep your bowels regular. Or you can do hemodialysis. You come into hospital, do everything for you, you go home afterwards. It's not neutral information. Instead, I wanted them to share the insights. You know what our patients complain about with hemodialysis is that transport, sitting, waiting for transport, sitting, waiting to go into dialysis, sitting, waiting to go home again. And after 6-8 weeks, that isn't as much fun as it might sound. I wanted them to really dig into why someone might choose hemo rather than PD, and challenge anything that they got the wrong end of the stick over. So I changed I changed patient education to group sessions so that I can have a bit more oversight, but also to bring in more members of staff so each nurse who had specialist interest could teach directly on her specialist interest. So here we've got home hemo specialist nurse, PD specialist nurse, we've got videos playing in the background, we've got equipment at the front of the room where patients can have hands-on. So those people who say, oh, I won't be able to do it, I've got arthritis, well, come to the front and let's see if we can do it or not. And often they can. We have very simple ways of explaining how PD works, something close to all of our heart, the T-bag. And simple ways of explaining how different regimes of peritoneal dialysis might be performed. We address cosmesis head-on, and for some patients, actually a tube coming out of their abdomen, and we call it a tube, not a catheter, because a catheter sounds like something that comes up your genitals to our patient. They prefer that word, and they're happy that something's coming out of their abdomen rather than something on their arm. We're lucky in the UK because we have residential training centres, so we sometimes train our patients at home, but that takes 3 or 4 days of our nurses' time, or we can send them in a group to a regional centre where they stay for the week and get trained and come back to us fully trained with a really good knowledge. So we're selling this positive view of peritoneal dialysis. Patients still have fears. I'll be on my own, what happens if something goes wrong? And we just reassure them, if it goes wrong, if the machine breaks in the middle of the night, something goes wrong, we show you how to finish your treatment safely. You phone us in the morning and we'll fix things for you. And we have to address family concerns because sometimes they're the rate limiting step. But I think Dad won't be able to cope with this. Well, Dad's still driving, he's still completely independent. I think he'll be able to do this. And I say, if you can put petrol in a car, you can handle a flammable hydrocarbon and pump it at several litres a minute, probably you can connect yourself to a peritoneal dialysis catheter without causing mass destruction. So there are many myths that people seem to come out of the womb with, and we just need to challenge these as well. My favourite bit, I've got a catheter, I can't possibly do peritoneal dialysis. But that came from one of my nurses, they told the patient that. So we keep promoting. We have these camper vans, they come to the hospital, we put our patients in them, doing their dialysis, one doing PD, one doing home hemo, just to show how flexible this treatment is, how people can travel with it, how people can do it anywhere. They can do it on a boat, they can do it in the countryside. And as the last speaker said, it doesn't rely on power, it doesn't rely on infrastructure particularly. So what happened by changing that education? Well, we got close to that expected binary response. About half the patients chose PD, great, now we just have to deliver it. But they got a sense of positivity from that message as well. I've got options, they've got a plan for me, there's a standardised approach of how we're going to do this. And of course you keep recruiting. Just because they chose hemodialysis, the fistula fails, have you thought about PD? You now know some of the realities of hemodialysis. What about doing PD now? The home visit, I think, is important. So get staff right in setting up a service, but do a home visit and just make sure that it's going to work where this patient is living. I've had a few people in my city where we rushed them through and they said, oh yeah, the house is fine. But then when we've gone to do deliveries, it's actually frankly squalid, and even with the most proactive nurse saying, I will find a space, even if it's 2 square meters in the corner of a bedroom, I will find a clean space where they can do it. And she's come back to me and said, no, I really can't do it this time. We've still got those patients on PD, but we've had to sort out their house and stuff before we could do it. So reinventing the wheel continues. And I moved down the coast to Hertfordshire, which is the next town south of Sunderland, which is where I live, and I found that another boat was made itself into Pakistani ownership, and it only lasted 7 years in your service as well. So I'm not sure if this is a deliberate act of destruction from the Pakistanis towards our shipbuilding, or that it reflects our shipbuilding, but there we go. So staffing, absolutely the most important thing. And I have a senior nurse, a normal staff nurse, and a healthcare assistant for our patients. It means that we can robustly look after our patients. I think start with 2 individuals. One who's really going to own that role, really going to deliver it, really identifies, has that knowledge base. Yes, you will have to train them yourself, but get them an assistant as well. But don't forget to educate and support the rest of the team. And have support there, which is again standardised. So if a patient comes to the ward in the middle of the night, or they phone the ward in the middle of the night, that nurse needs to know the right advice to give. My ward nurses kept sending them to the emergency department. Couldn't do anything there, they just introduced delay. The patient's got peritonitis, they need to get antibiotics as soon as possible. Just bring them to the ward in the middle of the night. We've got a treatment room, put them in there, do the exchange, worry about the bed later. They might even be able to go home if they're well. So I had to really address that head. Standardise everything. Once you write everything down, then people start doing it hopefully. And so this pathway obviously is not going to be checked, but it starts with the patient choosing PD, the process going through to get PD catheter inserted, either medically or laparoscopically, and then how to train the patient how to deal with any complications. But I just highlighted the first few steps. When the patient comes to see the surgeon or comes to see his interventional nephrologist, I need to remember a few things. They've got to sign a consent form, they've got to have a pre-assessment clinic, they've got to be measured and marked, we've got to get some laxatives so that they avoid constipation, they've got to have skin decolonisation. I don't write all that stuff down, something's going to get forgotten, outcomes will drop, so standardise the whole process. And of course the ISPD guidelines, as Professor Finkelstein said this morning, are very comprehensive and can be readily adapted to provide local solutions. Other small innovations, catheter designs are different, they come in different lengths for different sizes of patients. And you can have an exit site up here on the chest wall if you need to, if you're worried about an exit site on the abdomen. It's a very obese patient with skin growth, etc. You can get a longer design of catheter. So having that in the repertory means that we're more likely to have more patients on dialysis successfully. I think the thing that I'm most pleased about doing is having a transition clinic. So this was pre-dialysis patients, but I moved them out of the low clearance patients, but people were still talking about hemodialysis, and I took them where they were only ever going to be peritoneal dialysis patients, and me, when I was only going to talk about PD, and stop them getting distracted. And it felt like they had a sense of we did all the normal stuff, but I was also able to start education before these patients started dialysis. They got used to doing hand hygiene, catheter handling, exercise care, even before their buried catheter was externalized. We could do this on the models. But also, touching on Professor Brown's talk yesterday on palliative care, I could have advanced care planning discussions with patients that I was gradually getting to know even before they started dialysis. So my clinical lectures have got an area on it on advanced care planning. So the patients have a copy of that, but the junior doctors admitting the patient in the night time can say, oh yeah, Dr. Clark's talked to this patient, they've got a do not resuscitate order, they're only for ward-seeking care, they would or would not accept this level of treatment if they come in acutely unwell in the middle of the night. Training and retraining. Before we trained the patient and then we wished them on their way and then we dealt with any complications. But we really need to retrain, so we started retraining. And we brought them back for just a one-day top-up 6 weeks after they started training, just to pick up any bad habits that had developed. We retrain after any episodes of catheter-related infection, and we retrain at least annually thereafter. We also have drop-in training sessions where they can come and have more training. Once they move to a PD clinic, and you see I've just standardized it, so they go low clearance transition clinic, PD clinic, and it just is a mental trigger for me to address all of the subtle medication changes that can make PD more effective. I think they all need to be on big doses of diuretics. Most of the patients have got heart failure. I may not have been able to maximally titrate an ACE inhibitor before they started dialysis, but now I can. Maybe I can get the angio, and fair enough, that will give their residual kidney function a contrast here, and it might stop them dying of ischemic heart disease. And I'm giving them glucose, so I need buy-in from the diabetes team if I can't get optimal HbA1c control at this point. Quality assurance. So again, the bulk of this slide is from ISPD suggested audit standards, and that includes everything from adequacy and PET tests to looking at catheter function. I would add to that, as well as infection rates, if you are relying on surgeons, try to audit how long it takes them to respond to your request. If you're doing buried catheters, you've got flexibility. If you need one catheter urgently, then you need to know how long that's going to take. But my bugbear is the catheter that migrates out of the pelvis and is trying to drain dialysis fluid from near the liver, and that just doesn't work very well. So I need to either be able to manipulate that wire with a stiff guide wire back into the pelvis. That's actually really difficult to do. Or we just put in a new catheter, which is fine, but we might fail. Or I need a surgeon to laparoscopically drag that catheter back to the pelvis and suture it into place. And it's no good to me if that surgeon will offer me a date in 2 weeks' time. I need it now, because I don't want my patient going to hemodialysis. I want them staying on PD. So there is a good drop-off. Transplantation, that's probably and hopefully going to be our biggest cause of moving away from peritoneal dialysis. But even unavoidable death, if I've done everything I could have done to prevent it, that's okay as well. But the dysfunction of catheters is a drop-off that we don't want, but it's common. So we just need a robust policy of what we're going to do, how we're going to deal with it, who is going to be involved. So you don't have to improvise a solution. It will be a different solution here than it is for me, probably. It needs to be a local solution. I'm afraid I don't have all of the answers, even at home, let alone here. But there just needs to be a considered policy, so it's just routine. UF failure, sometimes it is genuine membrane failure, sometimes it's just failure to educate the patient on adequate fluid restriction. Finally, when they first start PD, they may UF quite nicely, and they're still peeing just as much as they were yesterday before they started dialysis. But 6 months down the line, their fluid restriction needs to be stricter, but we haven't told them that. We didn't maximise their diuretics. What's great about PD is that potassium tends to be very well controlled, so I can often get my patients on spironolactone or eplerenone for heart failure outcomes, but also to augment diuresis. And if possible, the use of biocompatible fluids and the use of low glucose fluids to try and engender longevity from the peritoneal membrane is a nice thing to do. So particularly for my diabetic patients, I try to just maximise their diuretics at my neutral and diclodextrin and minimise the glucose loading at all, at least in the early stages. That tends to work. Infection, I'm going to gloss over because you'll hear from it far more authority from Professor Brown later. Suffice to say the word standardised is still in there. And burnout is something which I think is important to consider. Patients who are looking after themselves at home are taking on a significant responsibility, and that responsibility is every day of their life. It may not just be them, it may also be their family, and they get to a point where they feel exhausted from doing dialysis. And we need to have ways of sensibly de-intensifying their treatment regime at points when they are tired. And I very proactively say to them, at some point you're going to get tired, please don't get fed up and just come to hemodialysis instead. Tell me, and we'll look together and see, can you have a weekend off every 2 weeks? Can you go to 5 nights a week instead of 7 nights a week? Can you do 3 exchanges a day rather than 4? What is the solution that's going to work for you that will make you be able to continue peritoneal dialysis for longer? And of course, sometimes we'll need to involve other people. Sometimes you do need to move the patient to hemo. If you're going to try and get them back to PD, don't give them to a hemodialysis doctor. It's easy for me, I look after a third of our hemo patients as well. Keep them in the PD clinic, keep them belonging to you. Yes, you're having hemodialysis now that you're a PD patient. We're going to get that catheter back in, and you're going to stay on PD. As an interventional nephrologist, obviously I'm going to say that's great if we can do these, and I think for the reasons outlined in the last talk, percutaneous PD catheter insertion by nephrologists is a great idea. So coming to the end of it, and having tried to reinvent the wheel with all of the cartoons I could find on Google, in summary, these are my key points. I think education and promotion ruthlessly. This is a great therapy, and if we're not seeing 50% of our patients choosing it, we're not selling it adequately, and we're not giving the potential benefits to our patients. But we need that message to come consistently from all of our colleagues, from all of our nurses, everyone who has contact. Because if a patient comes in and the nurse says, oh yeah, not many people choose PD. Most of our patients use hemo. Oh, that's just undone loads of work that I've done to try and build up PD in their minds. I like the transition clinic idea. It might work here, it might not work here. But grow the staff as you grow your patient numbers. Have a standardised approach to everything and keep hold of the patients whenever they need to dissipate temporarily to hemodialysis. Those are my thoughts, but I'm very welcome to receive any feedback or tips because I am still learning. So far, my numbers have gone from 18. This has taken some time to implement. It's been in process for about the last 3 or 4 months, and that time we've gone from 18 to 32 patients. We've got more staff in. I hope that we're going to see this grow further. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much.